Judges chapter 18, verse 1. In those days there was no king in Israel. Well, again, it has to be stated over and over and over so you get the idea. When the king is not personally present, people do whatever they want. And that goes on to say, in those days the tribe of Dan sought an inheritance to dwell in, because up to that day, all the inheritance had not fallen to them among all the tribes of Israel. They were still looking for more land to settle because they had not driven out the inhabitants of the land. They had an excuse, is that these people, they had iron chariots and we couldn't do it. Well, it turns out that the iron chariots are not even the issue with the Almighty. It's their faith. It's their believing in the promises of the Almighty. And so Dan didn't get to receive all their land. And so now they're out looking for it. So the children of Dan sent of their family 5 men from their coast. They were all men of valor. These are all warriors. And they sent them from Zorah, even to Eshtaol, to spy out the land, to search it. And they said to them, go search out the land. And when they came to Mount Ephraim, because they're looking for a place, they came to the house of Micah, and they lodged there. And when they were there in the house of Micah, they knew the voice of the young man, the Levite. They knew it. And so they went to him and said, who brought you here? Now, when he says, who brought you here, it's like, okay, you're here because, this is what a Levite is supposed to do, and you're going to be taken care of. And then they ask you, who brought you here? One. And we know that he was just wandering through the area looking for a place. No one really brought him there. He was looking for his opportunity. And then the second question, what do you make in this place? How much money? What kind of income do you have? And then he says, and what do you have here? And it says in the King James, he said, thus and thus Micah dealeth with me, and he has hired me, and I am his priest. So thus and thus, that tells us that this is not just a short conversation. He went on and told all about the background of why he came up here, and then why would they know him? Bethlehem, Judah, because Dan was down in that area, and they were familiar with the man. They were familiar. They heard his voice, and they turned into where he was. And so there's a lot of catching up to do. And so thus and thus, that's shorthand in the Bible for this was a rather long conversation, getting reacquainted with each other. And then he finally says that Micah's one, he hired me, and I'm his priest. And they said to him then, okay, well, ask counsel of God, and we would like to know whether our way is going to be prosperous or not. And so now this Levite, now he's going to prophesy to them, okay? The priest said, go in peace before Yahweh, your way is prepared. Go in peace, your way is prepared. Well, what has he got to lose? He's got a 50% chance of being right. Go your way and things are going to work out well, or go your way and they end up dead, and who's going to know about it anyway? So of course he's going to give them a soothing saying about their future fortune. And so without any word from the Almighty, we're going to find out that he's not getting any word from the Almighty, all right? This guy is sold out. He is sold out. And instead of teaching the truth and standing for the truth, he is no prophet. He is a false prophet. He's a paid professional false prophet. And this is exactly what these men got. A soothing saying. What else are you going to prophesy to your friends who found you up north? Then the 5 men departed and came to Laish, and they saw that the people they dwelt there and they had no cares. The area is absolutely beautiful. It's right at the base of Mount Hermon. It is a forest there. There are so many streams coming out of this. These people were living in almost the Garden of Eden. And they lived quietly. They were secure. And there was no magistrate in the land that might put them to shame in anything. They didn't pay any taxes. It's like, man, have we hit it rich? This is what we've been looking for our whole lives. And they were a long ways away from the Zidonians, and they didn't have any, it says business, didn't have any business with any man. And it's really, there was no agreement with anyone for their protection and vice versa. They are living by themselves in nirvana. And it says that they went back to their brethren and they said, come on, let's go. We can go up against them. We've seen the land. It is very good. Let me tell you about these streams and everything else. Why are you still here? That's what it says. Why are you still here? I just told you this. Get up. Don't be slothful. Get in there and possess this. We have got to take this. If anyone else discovers what is up there, we're going to lose out on this. So pack your trash, leave the heavy stuff behind, because we are going to paradise. It's huge. This land is huge. The people live without a single care. And now we go up to this place, and it's a place where we will not want anything. Not want anything that is in the earth. Literally what it says. Now, verse 11. And there went out from thence a family of the Danites out of Zoar and out of Eschatal, 600 men, the entire family of Danites, the entire tribe, 600 men who were warriors. And they went up, pitched in Kiriath Yearim in Judah, and that's why they call it Mahane Dan right to this day. And so they're in Judah. They pitched there first in Mahane Dan, or the camp of Dan, and it's called Kiriath Yearim, and even to this day in the land of Israel. And they went from there, and they went to Mount Ephraim, and they stopped by the house of Micah. And then the 5 men that went up there to spy out the country to begin with, who knew the priest who was there, the Levite, they said to their brethren, we know that there is, in one of these houses, there's an ephod, there's a teraphim, there's a graven image, and a molten image. This man is absolutely loaded. He's got a house of gods, and this is extremely valuable. There's no one around protecting. We got 600 men. Let me tell you what I think we ought to do. So they came to the house, and the Levite was there in the house of Micah. They saluted him. They bid him greetings from the tribe of Dan. And the 600 men, all with their weapons of war, completely loaded to the gills, ready to go to battle, because that's where they're going. They're heading up, and they're going to battle against the people up there at the foot of Mount Hermon. And so they all stood outside of the gate. But the 5 men that originally went up to spy in the land, they came into the house, and they took the graven image, they took the ephod, they took the teraphim, they took the molten image, and they took them all out. They stole them. And then the priest came out and stood at the gate where the 600 men were, and saw them carrying out all of this booty out of Micah's house. And when they went in there and they fetched all the images, they said to the priest, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? They gave him a choice. He said, keep your mouth shut, but literally put your hand to your mouth. Keep your mouth shut. Don't say a thing, and go with us. Be a priest for us. You consider, you can be a priest for this man. We just took all his loot. We took all of his idolatry, and we're taking it with us. And you can be the priest to this one man at this one house, or you can be a priest to the entire tribe of Dan. And where we are going is a land, I tell you, flowing with milk and honey. It is one of the most beautiful places in all of the promised land. And so when the priest heard what he was being offered, it was like, okay, I'm going to get a pay raise. I'm going to live in paradise. You're taking all this stuff anyway. And if I hang around here and my master finds out that, that you've run off with everything, I'm probably not going to have a job anyway. So he was glad. So he took the ephod and the teraphim, the graven image, and went in the midst of the people. So he then got it all and went into the middle of the 600 armed soldiers. So now they are his protection. He is their priest. They're going to protect him. Even though what he's doing is wrong, even though what he's doing is stealing, they're going to protect their pastor, their priest, who is going to do things their way, and they're going to run off with the booty. And so they turned and departed. They put the little ones and the cattle and the carriage in front of them. And when they were gone quite a long way from the house of Micah, the men that were in the houses near to Micah's house, they all gathered together, and then they overtook the children of Dan. You know, because again, they're going slowly. They've got their entire family. Now you've got the people from the community of Micah, and they get their battle instruments, and they're going to go out there, and it's not going to take them long to catch up. You know, in front. That's why it says in front, they had the carts and the wagons, and so you've got the 600 soldiers surrounding their priest in the middle, and they're moving rather slowly, and so they overtook the children of Dan. And they cried to the children of Dan, and they cried out, and they were yelling at them. And so they turned, and Micah was with them. And they said to Micah, "What aileth thee? What's wrong with you? What, are you out of your mind that you come against such a great company?" And he said, "What ails me? You've taken away my gods, which I made. You took away my priest. And you've taken away everything. And what do I have? And how is it?" You say, "Well, what ails me? What's wrong with me? Are you out of your mind?" And the children of Dan said, "Shut up. Shut up. You're starting to make us a little mad. We're starting to get a little angry with your insolence, okay? We did what we did. Shut your mouth and turn around, or we're going to kill you and everyone in your house. Everyone in your community, you're all dead if you don't shut up." So the children of Dan turned around and just kept on going. And when Micah saw that they were too strong, he turned around and went back to his house. And they took the things which Micah had made, and the priest which he had, and came to Laish, to those people that were secure and lived quietly. They smote them with the edge of the sword. They burnt the city, trashed it, destroyed it with fire, and there was no one to deliver them, because it was so far from Zidon, and they really didn't have any alliance with any man anywhere around there. And it gives a little bit more details in the valley that's by Beit Rehov, but you know, right there. See, when it speaks of the dews of Hermon, the dews of Hermon, the blessings of the dews of Hermon, it's not really dew that comes up from the ground. It's over 30 feet of snow that falls on the top of that mountain in the wintertime. And then it filters down through that rock, and then within 5 to 30 years later, it boils up out of the ground, and that is right there at the city of Dan. You just put your head down the water and drink. It's ice cold from the snow and the ice, and this is where they built the city of Dan. And they named it after Dan, their father, who was born to Israel. And so even though the name of what was Laish at first, and that's important because this is where Abraham went to Laish when he was tracking those who had taken Lot from him. And so this is another thing that the scripture does for us. It lets us know the former names and the latter names so that we can tie all the scripture together. And it says, "And the children of Dan set up the graven image, and Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, that he and his sons were the priests of the tribe of Dan until the days of the captivity of the land." So Jonathan, his children, and his children, and his children, they continued to be the priest of the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. And they set them up, Micah's graven image, which he had made, and it was there. And that's where they served these pagan gods all the time that the house of God was in Shiloh. We're going to find out that later on, Dan is going to be in a very, very difficult situation later on, because at Dan, the doors are open. And where Jeroboam, when he takes the northern kingdom and divides themselves from Judah, he puts a golden calf at Bethel, at the house of Elohim, and at Dan. Why at Dan? Because the priests up there were already completely immersed in pagan sun worship, and they were ripe for the rest of the delusion that's going to finally send Israel into captivity. Now, I want you to go with me, 2 Kings, 2 Kings, because we are going to find out about these priests who were the priests until the day of the captivity of the land. And in 2 Kings chapter 17, in the 12th year of Ahaz, the king of Judah, began Hoshea the son of Elah to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. Now, this is what we see all through the book of the Kings. It tells us who the king was in Judah and how many years they had been reigning in relationship to who the king was and when they began reigning in Israel. And they go back and forth on this, vice versa, so that you can track and understand the order of events and the chronology, and to be able to figure out the years. It's absolutely brilliant. And you know, those who want to, the completely foolish and ignorant who think, oh, the Bible is all full of errors and it was just written by men. We have histories that are so accurate in here that anyone who reads it, most of the time, it's just way over their head. They don't even know enough about history and about scriptures in order to read something and to derive information from it. But this is why we read this, because of the chronology, the order of events, and the way they happen here. Now, I'm going to continue reading. And he, Hoshea, did that which was evil in the sight of Jehovah. And against him, verse 3, came up Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria. And Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents. Well, this wasn't really giving him presents. This is what the taxation that he had to pay him every year, because Shalmaneser was the conqueror of the land. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea. He found conspiracy. He conspired together because he had sent messengers to the king of Egypt and to get in alliance with them, and then refused to pay the tax, as he had done every year before then. And so the king of Assyria came and arrested him and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria, besieged it for 3 years. He's already taken the king. Now he's going to take the capital of Israel, the northern kingdom. Remember, down in Jerusalem, we have Ahaz, who is the king down there. Up here, we have Hoshea, who's in prison now. And it's now in the 9th year of King Hoshea that the king of Assyria finally took Samaria after besieging it for 3 years. And he carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and Habor and by the river of Gozan. And so what he did, and then took them all the way over into the cities of the Medes. Now the people that were in that part of the world, he took them out of those captured cities and he moved them all over into the conquered land of Israel. The Israelites were all taken away and put over in Iran, Iraq, Syria, and way out there. And you've got millions of people that are displaced at this point and all taken out of the land of Israel. And why was it done? It says in verse 7, because the children of Israel had sinned against Jehovah, that brought them up out of the land of Egypt and out from under the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. and they feared other gods. They respected, they worshiped, they obeyed, they learned the way of the heathen gods, and they did the same thing and say they were doing it for him, like Micah's mother. Oh, Yehovah bless you, my son. Here, take 200 pieces of this silver, and we're going to make you some more gods. And then you're going to hire a priest, and then he's going to be your priest over your house of gods. And this is exactly why they're being carried out of the land. And it says that false priest and the family of false priests were there until they were taken out of the land. Here is the incident where Shalmaneser comes in and takes them out of the land. And it says, and they walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom Yehovah had cast out before the children of Israel, and the kings of Israel, which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against Yehovah. Secretly. They said, oh, we love the Lord. But really, what was going on behind closed doors, they had no respect and no obedience to the true God. It says that they built themselves high places in all their cities. These are obelisks, phallic symbols, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. And they set themselves up images and groves on every high hill and under every green tree. That's where they did their sacrifices. They burnt incense in all the high places, just as the heathen whom Yehovah carried away before them. They wrought wicked things to provoke Yehovah to anger. Now, we are in the closing section right here of 2 Kings, okay? They served idols. The same idols that Yehovah said to them, you shall not do this thing to them, and yet they did it. So Yehovah testified against Israel, and he testified against Judah by all of the prophets, by all the seers. He sent to them and said, turn from your evil ways and keep my commandments and keep my statutes according to all the Torah which I commanded your fathers, which I sent you by my servants and the prophets. Notwithstanding, they refused to hear. They refused to listen to them. They hardened their necks like the necks of their fathers. They did not believe in Yehovah their Elohim. They rejected his statutes, his covenants, which he made with their fathers, and his testimonies, which he testified against them. They followed vanity and became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom the Lord had charged them, that you do not do what they do. You shall not be like them.